Hello, dear children. Welcome once again. Today we will read another very interesting detective story by Cressida Cowell. The name of the story is The Tiny Detectives. Is there life at the bottom of the deepest ocean? Let's start. Meet the tiny detectives. The tiny detectives are very little indeed. They are also very curious. That's why they live in a bookcase, because even the littlest of people can find answers to big questions if they dive into a book. And that is exactly what the tiny detectives do best. One rainy day, Ollie, who was the eldest of the tiny detective children, asked a big question. Is there life at the bottom of the deepest ocean? Let's jump into a book and find out the answer, said Mom. Don't forget to put on your diving suits, everyone. So the tiny detectives put on their diving suits and they climbed the bookcase. And Dad picked out a book called Life in the Ocean Deep. Then he wound the red story thread around his waist so they could get back out of the story at the end of their adventure. And they leapt right down and down, down into the Marina Trench. The Marina Trench is the deepest part of the ocean, said Mom. At its deepest point, it is almost 11,000 meters below sea level. Beetle's a bit worried that there might be big and scary fish down there, said Bo. Well, it's true, we are likely to see some very interesting creatures, said Dad. Dad was right. The further down they went, the more fascinating things became. Oh, look, said Tiger, pointing. That's the smallest octopus I've ever seen. And it has ears. Yes, that's a Dumbo octopus, explained Mom. It flaps through the water like a little flying elephant. Okay, that one's not very scary, admitted Bo. And look at that one, Tiger said in a wonder. A fish that has a transparent head. Sure enough, a beautiful barrel fish swam past. It has a transparent head so that it can see the fish swimming above it, explained Dad. Isn't nature extraordinary? Every creature was more amazing than the last. Those jellyfish look like underwater rainbows, said Tiger, as comb jellies wafted past them, their bodies and long tentacles turning different colors as they swam. Down, down they went until Dad pointed out a fish that was so frail and delicate you could barely see it. The ethereal snailfish, breathed Dad, lives deeper than any other fish in the whole world. And it's kind of sweet, said Tiger. It's pink and not much bigger than us. But it can survive pressure equal to the weight of 1,600 elephants, said Mom. Isn't that extraordinary? I think this is the deepest a fish can live though, and we are still a few thousand meters from the bottom. They had found out the answer to the big question. So Dad gave 3 big tugs to the story thread and up they went through the waters. But as they went, they bumped into a fish that was much bigger than the ethereal snailfish and a lot less sweet. An anglerfish, said Dad. See, it's got a light at the end of its tentacles. that attracts little fish. Extraordinary! Bo was so surprised he had let go of the story thread and started drifting towards the anglerfish. But luckily, Ollie had his umbrella with him. Tiger grabbed the umbrella and flapped it at the anglerfish as if it were the ear of a Dumbo octopus, and it frightened the anglerfish away. Dad grabbed Bo's arm and they all clung onto the story thread as it pulled them up, 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 all the way back to the top of their very own bookcase. Another case solved for the tiny detectives, said Dad with satisfaction. So, there is life nearly at the bottom of the deepest ocean, but not quite as far down as the very deepest point. And although some of the creatures were big and scary, said Bo, some of them were almost as tiny as a tiny detective. And just as extraordinary, said Mom. The end. I hope, children, you all enjoyed this amazing story in which we got to know interesting and amazing facts about the ocean life. Now, some fun time. Use this sentence as a starter for your very own story. There are no rules, just have fun. The boy swam deeper and deeper until he reached the kingdom under the sea. After doing this, one more activity. Search and find. Can you find beetle hiding in the ocean? Enjoy these activities with your parents, with your friends. And if you like the story, do share it, do like it, and do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you like the stories of tiny detectives, we have a playlist in the description box below. Do have a look at it. We'll be back with another story soon. Until then, bye bye and happy reading.